Welcome back, panelists here. Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today. Jonathan Martin, the senior political columnist for Politico. Lanhee Chen, a fellow at the Hoover Institution at its future ACC power, Stanford. And Kimberly Atkins Stohr, the senior opinion writer for the Boston Globe. Hello, everybody. We're talking debate politics here, not legal shenanigans. I kind of think we're all overrating the fact that a frontrunner decided not to go to the first debate. I keep trying to remind people, George W. Bush didn't go to the first debate in 1999.
Yeah, but this is different because this is the metaphor for this race, right? You have Donald Trump doing an interview with Tucker Carlson right before turning himself in to get bailed out of this indictment in Georgia. And then you've got 7 or 8 or maybe 9 people scrambling to figure out some way to get traction against him in Milwaukee.
You heard Governor Burgum there. And Jonathan, I'm not surprised by the answers he gave me on this. This is what he's been sticking to his guns. Is that a viable path?
Well, speaking of an illustration about the larger theme, what a great example of a missed opportunity this morning. You're on national television and you don't take an opportunity to say something about the biggest question, not only in this race, but in American politics, in global politics, okay, which is the possible return of the former president. And you don't say a word about it. And I think, Chuck, that really captures this, I think, very, very weak field. Where's the creativity? Where's the imagination? Where's the enterprise? Where's the initiative? Give us something. Try something. Take a risk. These candidates out there wonder why their numbers aren't moving, why this race is static, basically. Well, you're not doing anything outside the box. The person with the biggest talent in the field is Chris Christie, and obviously he's frontally attacking Donald Trump, which, yes, hurts his numbers, but at least he's got something to say about the biggest question in the race. These other guys are basically walking on eggshells or saying nothing at all and just buying time, hoping against hope. Chuck, we've seen that movie. Right. It's called The Last 7 Years in the Party.
Yeah. What did he call it?
Listless vessels.
Listless vessels.
Speaking of.
I mean, the irony now is the toughest Ron DeSantis has sounded on Donald Trump, and it's going to get weaponized because it did sound like he attacked the voters and not Trump.
Well, this is why the sort of memo, the leaked memo that talked about defending Trump, that I found confusing because this is really an opportunity for Ron DeSantis to do more of that.
No, you're supposed to take out Vivek Ramaswamy.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that is just like, that was just
Stunning.
consultants
malpractice.
Well, but it's somewhat bizarre in the sense that this is going to be the biggest opportunity for any of these candidates.
Let me put that memo up, by the way,
yeah.
while you're talking about it. The 3 pieces of advice he got: attack Biden in the media, hammer Vivek Ramaswamy, defend Trump from Chris Christie.
Yeah. Well, one of those is tried and true, which is attack Biden in the media. I get that.
Yeah.
But the notion that you would go after somebody who is probably going to be an afterthought in this race. I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy.
He might be the next primetime host.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's interesting. But to Jonathan's point, he's actually doing interesting stuff like rapping. Right, which is what Republicans tend not to do.
It's funny you say that. He's the one candidate that's not like the others in different ways he's doing, and it is getting him a few points.
But fundamentally, then the challenge becomes: if you actually want to take out the king, you have to take out the king.
Right.
And so this will be the opportunity for Ron DeSantis and for anybody else who wants to sit in that chair to do that.
And what was interesting is that Ron DeSantis, I think if he weren't such a bad candidate, what he was kind of breaking on there could have worked. He could have said, look, I am envisioning a future of the Republican Party that is not just about someone, it's about something, and laid out what that future is no matter what happens in this race. He's still a young guy. He still would have a big future ahead of him, but he's just so bad at it that he flubbed that message so terribly that it turned into another deplorable moment.
It's more of an incumbent race than it is an open seat campaign, Chuck.
It's funny you say I don't understand why they don't treat it that. I completely agree. You got to treat them like the incumbent.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think some of these candidates actually are further from Trump, the de facto incumbent, than a Democrat would be against Joe Biden, the actual incumbent race, if a Democrat ran.
Well, as you can tell, donors don't like what they're seeing, Susan. The Glenn Youngkin, to a lesser extent, Brian Kemp sort of wish list, whether it's Rupert Murdoch, a lot of coverage this week. Rupert Murdoch claiming he wants somebody, other donors who are disappointed in DeSantis giving Youngkin money. First of all, they better hope Youngkin has success in the Virginia midterms, which, if abortion's the main issue, good luck. But is there room?
Oh, please. Glenn Youngkin, I mean, he ran a good race. He against a competitive candidate once. he signed an abortion ban that, as did Governor Burgum, who didn't talk about him. He says he won't get it until November. 2 of the 4 early states will have passed their filing deadline.
He can't get in their filing deadline.
It
becomes logistically.
So he's going to skip 2 of the first 4 contests. I'm sorry, this seems like a fantasy to me, and a sign of what desperate straits some of these donors
we go through this in every Republican nominating contest. This
Actually,
was like
the Democrats do it too. Don't forget
Mitch Daniel, Mitch Daniels and Chris Christie will come rescue the Republican Party from Mitt Romney. And this is the same discussion we have every time. The reality is, it takes time to build this infrastructure in Iowa. It takes time to raise money, and it's very hard to jump in, regardless of who you are and what your profile is, and expect to run a competitive race.
You know the last candidate who had this nomination handed to him? I think it was probably Dwight Eisenhower. Yeah. You got to get in there and fight for it. If you
don't think it was Joe Biden?
No, I don't think it was Joe Biden.
That moved pretty fast.
It did. I was just going to say it got close to being handed to him at the end on that. But I take your point on there. But, it's interesting. Brian Kemp, as much as I'm not sure what Youngkin said, Brian Kemp showed up yesterday to the Eric Erickson event. He was the one not running for president. He did.
Right. Listen, I think this is a bad look for everybody who's going to be on that debate stage Wednesday night, that people are still looking. They're looking at all these people, and they don't see a single person that the Republican Party can coalesce around, and they're still looking around. That just shows the terrible state.
Right. Well, we are going to come back and discuss the other side of the aisle.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.